Hello everybody, Incon here, bringing you YouTube another giveaway, as well as talking about our previous winners, answering some of your questions and more. Now, before we start this and get into this, I want to remind you guys, for those of you guys that subscribe with Twitch Prime, remember that those subscriptions have now run out. It's been a month and you do have to manually resubscribe. Of course, that still is completely free. You just got to take a moment to go and resubscribe. And of course, it'll help you with this giveaway as well. So you can just follow the giveaway path if you want to make it easiest. And of course, in order to enter the giveaway, that'll be right down in the description for you to go click on. So, last week, guys, we did a cutesy AMC giveaway. We're going to have 7 winners for that today. Of course, this week we're giving away the Enchanted CHANG'E skin. We're going to be giving away 5 times of those skins for you guys. And of course, we'll choose those winners in our next video. So, you asked me some questions last week that you wanted me to answer, so let's go ahead and get into those. Maverick Moore asked us, what do you think will make Season 4 better than Season 3? What could you do to the map, matchmaking, ranked, etc.? So, I'm actually going to hit on a couple of these because these are pretty important. So, first of all, for ranked. So, me personally, for ranked, I obviously play at kind of a stranger time. I play early in the morning on NA, which is different. But I hear the same sort of complaints basically throughout the day. I do think that ranked should go back to having a countdown timer. And so for those of you that haven't played Smite, or have started playing Smite recently, you've never probably played with this. Smite ranked used to have a countdown timer at 10 minutes, which basically meant that if you queued up at 30 seconds left, you were going to get a queue in exactly 30 seconds, so everybody knew right when the queue was going to pop. But that, of course, meant sometimes you got in the queue at 9 minutes and 59 seconds, and so you had to wait the full 10 minutes for the queue. Back in the day, basically everybody complained. They said, hey, we don't want that. I don't want to be stuck in a 10-minute queue. The point was that queues were going to be faster without, getting the 10 minutes. They were going to be an average of like 5-minute queues, and so it was going to be quicker for everybody. But then, of course, it ended up being only quicker at very, very peak times, and the rest of the time takes way too long. We now have, I get 30-minute queues in the morning, so I would like to see rank go back to a countdown queue. Also, the best thing about the countdown queues is what it did was at the end of every countdown, it took the 10 highest ELO players and threw it into a match every single time, which basically made that there would be that one super match all the time, which really helped pro players get into games with each other compared to now, which is like the system's always trying to find you a match. And so just because 10 pro players queue at the same time does not mean 10 pro players will get in the same game, because it's going to look at everything and try to throw everybody in together. In terms of matchmaking, that kind of all goes hand in hand. If more people are playing ranked, then the matchmaking is going to be better. A lot of people have stopped playing ranked. For me, for the most part, I only play a couple ranked games a day just because nobody wants to watch a 30-minute queue. I wouldn't want to watch a 30-minute queue. Screw that. I'm not that cool. I would not watch me for 30 minutes just talk. I want to watch Smite gameplay. So that's why basically I don't really play anymore. I know a lot of other pro players have just switched over to casuals because the casual queues are about 3 minutes long and the matchmaking ends up being about the same. Changes to the map going into Season 4. I don't really have anything specific. I just like changes. I love new things. Even if they're crazy and they're OP, like at least it's new because it's fresh. It gives you new strategies. It can bring new gods into the meta. I would love to see speed buff gone and a different buff put in its place. I always think speed buff is a little bit ridiculous. I think it makes ganking way too easy. Speed buff has been taken out before. Everybody said the game was too slow, too boring, so they put it back in. Maybe the game doesn't work without speed buff, but I will always advocate for the removal of it just because I think it makes things like ganking way too easy. But just something new, whether it be take out the Gold Fury and put in something like the Gold Fury that's new. Maybe like it has special attacks like the Fire Giant now, so that in itself is its own little mini game. The Fire Giant buff does something different, just something like that to spice things up. But on the whole, you're like, hey, it's still Conquest. Moving into our next question, Santiago Pereira asks us, how do I counter Scylla? So that's a good question because Scylla has very recently come back into the meta. Obviously, she got those changes just a couple patches ago where her clear was increased, her crush damage was increased early game and a little bit late game. So she's very strong now. She's going to get played competitively. She has been getting played competitively a little bit more. And so how do you counter her? The number one best counter period to Scylla is a Wheelix, and that's because with a Wheelix on the board, Scylla cannot use her dash. A Wheelix's ultimate pulls Scylla. Even though Scylla's under the floor and it says jumps, it is considered a jump. Same thing with Hades, you can pull Hades in his dash. And so a Wheelix absolutely demolishes Scylla if you have the opportunity to go Wheelix. If you want a good lane matchup, typically something like Isis does well because you can outclear the Scylla really hard early and try to snowball off of that by putting her behind. Doesn't always work, but you also have to keep in mind that in your Wing Gust, you're immune to her root, so it does counter quite a bit of her kit. Obviously, just don't get hit by her ulti, because no matter what mage you pick, you're going to die at her ulti unless you're like Zhong Kui. Mike Bishop asks us, have you ever played Smite on console? The answer is yes, I have played Smite on console, and no, not for a really, really long time. I basically played Smite on console before it came out on console. I basically beta tested it a little bit to see how it would go, see how the controls were, and it was obviously awesome, and it's doing great now. Smite console scene is huge. I will say that there is a player on Xbox with my name. I mean, I don't care enough to do anything about it, but just so you know, that is not me on Xbox. There's somebody else on Xbox that uses my name, so that's a thing. It's not me. I've never played Xbox outside of like the beta testing of the Xbox client. Based Tier asks, any advice for a support main trying to get better at the jungle? So of course, switching roles is always hard. When you play one role, you get good at it, you learn the inner workings, and then if you want to try to branch out, you have to go back to learning the inner workings of a role. You have to learn the basics again. And so one thing I would recommend is, because you're going to have to be learning the new rotation timers, the new gank timers, all that kind of stuff that comes with the role, I would try to keep your god pool as similar as possible for the start. So one of the best things about that change is that quite a few support gods will work in the jungle. Athena is a great jungler. Ymir has been proven to be a great jungler. Kabrakan can work in the jungle. So if you're going to be switching over to that role, you're going to have to take time to learn the inner workings. But if you're trying to learn the inner workings and a new god pool at the same time, it's going to give you 2 times the work. So on your first transfer over, I would recommend playing those couple of guardians that do work well in the jungle. That way you don't have to worry about mechanics and learning the role at the same time. You can just focus strictly on the role. Finally, Define Pride asks us, what if they changed Hades' ultimate so that it crippled, but instead of pulling you in, it was just a strong slow? I mean, I see where you're going with this. Hades has always had the problem where competitively his ultimate just doesn't work. You beads and walk out of it. You Aegis most of it. You just jump out of the ulti. And that's a big reason why he isn't played. If it crippled, though, then you can't jump unless you beads and then jump. Every time they've tried to do something towards that line, Hades ends up being broken. I like the idea of instead of it pulling you in, it was just a strong slow. But I still think that what's going to happen is Hades are only going to use the ultimate when they're right on top of you. They dash or blink on top of you. They pop their ultimate. Great, you're crippled. Great, your beads wasn't up. But like at the same time, you can still just jump out of the... Oh, I guess you can't jump out of the ulti because you're crippled. So, like, there you go. I mean, would it be OP? Quite possibly, because then the only counterplay is CC immune ults, an Aegis, or beads. Are 3 counterplays enough? Maybe, but every time they give Hades a cripple, he ends up being broken. Alright, guys, so last week, of course, we had that AMC giveaway, and we had 7 winners. Those 7 winners are Bombastic Bombs, Seor, Replay Reaper, Nicholas Job, My Crank, Arturus Patronus, and Cameron Young. Congratulations to you 7. Check your emails that you signed up with, of course, and you will have the AMC cutesy code in your email. That's the end of the video, guys. Don't forget to enter into this new CHANG'E Enchanted skin giveaway. That'll be right down in the description. And don't forget, for those of you that use your Twitch Prime to sub, to go by the channel and resubscribe, or you can just go right to the giveaway, and part of the giveaway will allow you to enter with your sub, so you can do it there as well. Thank you guys for watching the video. Best of luck in the giveaway. Don't forget to ask questions down below so I can answer them in the next video. And as always, have a twitching day, y'all. It's the final